Yo, I think that we are live. What's going on out there in the land of YouTube? I'm just YouTubing here in Las Vegas, Nevada. What's going on with you? Who's in the room? A couple people. SWE Observer. Um, if you just got here, then do me a favor and just hit the like button real quick, because that'll put the video out to other people and they'll get to see it more. And you've heard every single creator say the same thing I'm saying now. It's it's pretty silly. It is pretty silly, but unfortunately, that's the way it is. We have to jump through some pretty silly hoops. So, what's going on? Buzz, SWE, what is going on? The Tribe, what is going on? Amigo, what is going on with everybody out there in the land of YouTube? Okay. How's the hair? All right. All right. I think we're almost ready to go. So, today I'm going to cover the Las Vegas Metro lawsuit that you guys, and this is a big thank you to you guys who oh, I guess my green eyes are going to get blocked out, but I want to say thank you to you guys for helping me yesterday raise the $402 to file this lawsuit. The lawsuit is now filed. I wanted to go over every single line by line of the lawsuit, read it out loud with you guys so we can talk about it. Everybody can take a look at what the details are. My goal here is to get Jesse Sandoval fired, and I'm going to be going to the city council meetings here in Las Vegas. I'm going to go after that guy's job because he's an abusive thug. There's just no other way to see it. Oh, shoot. You know what I forgot to do? Was it on this one? Okay. So I saw a video earlier today, and I'm going to share with you guys something. Oh, man. And then I will have the new indestructible trifolds. I will have the new indestructible trifolds. I'll have a sample of those today. By the end of this broadcast, I should have the actual sample. How's my sound? You guys hear me okay? Up 5x5. Everybody can hear me all right? You guys do me a favor, hit the like button. Hit the like button, because I don't have a lot of time and it's going to take about an hour to go over this. So whether there's people here or not, I'm just going to keep going. So I'm not sure if you guys know this or not. You guys probably are not getting notifications. YouTube has pretty much just cut off any external notifications to anybody. And I've heard this from 50 people in the past few days, that no one's getting the alerts when I'm going live here like I am now. And then on every live that I'm doing, regardless of what the content is, it's limited for the first week. And then 6 days later, YouTube will then say, okay, we'll monetize your video now. But then it's already done. Everybody's already seen it. It's already been seen. Like, I can't even put a delay on sharing these papers with you, because if I do, then somebody else will cover it. And I want you guys to hear from me. I mean, I'm the one filing the lawsuits. So, and just so you guys know, every time I say that I'm going to file a lawsuit and then I follow through and I do, that includes a bunch of people. There's a bunch of people involved. There's a bunch of people who help me, that I couldn't do the things I do without those people. So I'm super grateful that I have a team of people who help me, like, that are super dedicated to making sure that I don't end up in a box for no good reason, because they would love to put me in a box. As you guys know, they would love to lock me up. I see it all the time. People say, oh, lock him away. For what? I mean, lock me away for what? I don't know what I've done wrong exactly to be locked away, but I hear it all the time. Like, put that person in a dungeon because we don't like him. That's what we're seeing. And I mean, that's the thing that we're seeing with Trump right now as well. They're going to put a felony on Trump so he can't run for president because Joe Biden can't beat him. So they want to put a felony on Trump so that the people, that the Americans, and whether you like it or not, Trump's the most popular guy there is in politics. And so they're going to put a felony on that man, like every other politician hasn't paid off hookers, porn stars, and mistresses. Like every other politician in DC doesn't have dirt underneath their fingernails. They do. But yet they want to say that they're going to prosecute Trump for paying off a porn star, but the rest of them are just as guilty. You go back to Bill Clinton's impeachment back in 97, 96 or 97, because he was impeached, and then did he run again? Anyway, between his first and second term, Clinton was impeached by Newt Gingrich. And get this, the entire time that Newt Gingrich was saying, oh, Clinton slept with that intern, he's such a piece of garbage, Newt had his own additional family with his mistress. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Was it Newt Gingrich or was it a different Republican who had an entire family that was the main prosecutor? Was it Kenneth Starr? I can't remember who it was. But what's going on? Everybody hit the like button. Tom Shaw, what's going on, my friend? Good to see you. Writes on, what is going on? Writes on, David, what's going on? Good to see you. Philip, what's going on? How is everybody? Jeff hates pigs. Jeff hates pigs. All right, so without further ado, let's jump into this lawsuit so that we can see it. There it is right there. Now let me zoom in here. So this just has my information up here. This says Jose DeCastro, United States District Court of Nevada. And then, so these are the people. So this is a complaint for damages and a demand for a jury trial. And then these are the people over here who are being sued. So because I'm going to sue every single person that was involved in my stop. There's not a single person who will get by. There's not one. I will not let a single one of them go. Any person who was involved in the unjust kidnapping and unlawful detainment and unlawful arrest, I'm going to add to this lawsuit. That's why at the bottom it says Officer Doolittle and 1 to 50 inclusive, meaning that if I find out other people approved me being arrested on the radio or any other way, I will sue them as well in their individual capacity, not in their official capacity. There's a big difference. There's a big difference between those two things. So then it's right down here. It says, plaintiff is a member of the press who specifically records police interactions, was recording a police officer interaction outside of Roland Smoke Barbecue in Southwest Las Vegas. 5 Metro police officers, including the officer he was recording under the guise of protecting the privacy of another citizen in public without reasonable suspicion that the plaintiff was involved in any criminal activity, did interfere and rob plaintiff of his liberties while he was in a place that was lawfully allowed to be, while plaintiff was performing constitutionally protected activities. The officer detained plaintiff, handcuffed, arrested, battered, tortured, and forced him into the back of a patrol car, searched him and his possessions. None of the defendants intervened to prevent the unreasonable detention, arrest, battery, and torture or searches. Sadly, the abusive treatment endured for merely asserting his rights and recording the police is not unusual or surprising. This civil action seeks to vindicate plaintiffs' constitutional and statutory rights and hold the officers and their departments accountable for biased police practices and policies or absence of policies that resulted in these practices. Plaintiff Jose DeCastro is an adult over the age of 18, a member of the press, and at all times relevant hereto was in as resident of the state of California. Defendant Las Vegas Metro Police Department is a quasi-essential entity and political subdivision of the state of Nevada, created and regulated by NRS Chapter 258, and at all times relevant hereto employed all of the individuals named defendants. Defendant of the state of Nevada is a government entity and at all times as relevant hereto operates, oversees, and manages defendant LVMPD under the color of state law. Defendant Brandon Bork is, and at all relevant times was a, I have to put the word officer in there. I'm not real big on it. I don't like putting the word officer in there. I don't like it. Like, I don't think so. So where is everybody from? Do me a favor, in the chat real quick, just type down where you're from. Whether I know or not, just write out where you guys are watching from right this second, just real quick. So I know if anybody is in Nevada or California, Ohio, where are you guys at? Everybody type down in the comment section where you guys are watching from. Is this thing on? Spokane, Washington, Western New York. Good to see you, Western New York. Overturned Terry versus Ohio, Philly, Florida, California, Las Vegas. Carlos, what's going on, my friend? Las Vegas, Navidad. Niagara Falls, that's nice. Michigan again. Sweden. I love Sweden. Okay, cool. So we'll keep going here. So defendant Jason Torrey is, and at all times relevant, was a supervisor. So this supervisor is the guy I told him, hey, look, they're arresting me wrongfully. Defendant C. Dingle. C. Dingle, the reason why you're being listed in here is I told you to intervene and you did not. You allowed them to sit there and torture me. Defendant B. Sorensen. Defendant Jesse Sandoval. This is the guy that tortured me right here. This is the guy who grabbed my arm and squeezed my arm. And by the way, I found 2 or 3 other videos where other people are saying cops are doing the same thing. It's happening all over the country. Defendant Doolittle. The true names and capacities, whether individuals, corporate or associate, otherwise, or defendants sued herein as does 1 through 50 inclusive, are unknown to plaintiff, who therefore sues said defendants by such fictitious names. Plaintiff will amend this complaint to show the true names and capacities if and when the same are ascertained. Plaintiff is informed and believes that defendants and each of them are responsible in some manner for the plaintiff's damages, and herein each reference of this complaint as defendants. Plaintiff is deformed. Plaintiff. So let me get to the meat of the complaint. Jurisdiction and venue. So you guys are starting to see the way it sets up, right? You're starting to see the way a civil rights lawsuit is set up. So there's jurisdiction and venue, and we go back here. So here's your caption at the top. Your name, address, phone number goes over here, and then scroll down, and then all you do is put these little parentheses right here, and then put case number, which I have a case number now. I'm just not announcing it. Complaint for damages and damages for jury, and demand for jury, and then you put your plaintiffs over here. You see how that works? And then you just number each and every line. So then as you go down here, so it says, here's your introduction, here's your parties. So the first step is to get your caption. Here's your caption. You want to get this done right here. All this up here. All this. This is your caption. All right. So you got that. And then down here, you're going to do a basic introduction as to what you're talking about. Right there. So you see that? It's only 3 or 4 paragraphs. It just tells the court exactly what they're looking at here in 3 paragraphs. And then down here is parties. Now, these are all the people I just listed. You have to list each person and list them in their individual capacity because they worked outside of the color of law when they were torturing me. Okay, cool. So then after that, you get jurisdiction and venue. And so now the reason why I'm suing in federal court is because this court has jurisdiction over the action pursuant to 28 USC 1331. See, and yesterday I said 42 and it's 28. So I made a talking error again yesterday. Can you imagine that? Sometimes when you talk and you blah, 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 I think I said US code 42 yesterday and here it says 28. So I made an error. Can you believe that? Sometimes I misspeak. Sometimes I say things and then I say the opposite thing. So I'm not perfect. I'm going to make little mistakes here. Gloria, Chevy, Jeff hates pigs, KT. What's going on? Let's keep reading this document because see, this is the reason why after I'm a couple years into this, why I don't want to become a lawyer anymore. To me, this sucks. This isn't changing the system. This is just going to hold them accountable. And we're going to get the funds. We're going to take the funds and we're going to spend it on changing the system. But it's not really what I want to do. It's not really what I want to do. So pursuant to U.S. Code 28, bringing bought to obtain compensatory and punitive damages for the deprivation under the color of state law of the rights of a citizen in the United States and are secured by the United States Constitution. Oh, so I didn't make a mistake. It was 42. But, you know, you get all these codes in your head and sometimes you get confused. Your brain just, you know, there's people far smarter than me. I've just learned what I've learned, and so I'm sharing it with you guys. So it is U.S. Code 42, 1981, 1983, and 1988. This court supplemental jurisdiction over the claims arise under Nevada law pursuant to U.S. Code 28, 1367A. This court is the proper venue pursuant to 28 U.S. Code 1391B2 because the events giving rise to the claims occurred in the county of Clark in Nevada, which is in the U.S. District of Nevada. So then right here, this is your general facts and allegations. So this is where you really want to try to lay out. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't have this proper. So this is where you want to try to lay out your story. You want to tell your story. So right here, general facts and allegations. Approximately 4:30 p.m. on March 15th, plaintiff happened upon a police interaction between a woman sitting in a silver Hyundai Elantra and Brandon Bork, who was sitting in a Ford Police Interceptor with the LVMPD logo, license 19084. Plaintiff does not know the woman's name, but will refer to her as Jane. Plaintiff started recording the police interaction on one of his phones, moved to a position approximately 10 feet away from Jane, and making sure not to become between Bork and Jane, he asked her if she was good. Within 6 seconds, Brandon Bork left his vehicle, got the plaintiff's attention, and told him to back up, which a plaintiff immediately did, giving Bork an additional 5 feet. Bork told plaintiff to back up again or he would detain plaintiff, at which time plaintiff began to assert his rights to record the interaction, saying, "I'm more than 10 feet away. I'm a member of the press. I have a right to be here." So do you see what I said right there? These are important words that I said. These aren't small words. These are huge words. And the reason why these words in particular are so big is because I informed the officer, I have a right to be here. I'm a member of the press. In other words, I'm not here to shoot you. I'm not here to fight with you. I have a right to be here. I'm a member of the press. So I got my camera out. I'm filming that filthy pig. And I tell him, I'm a member of the press and I have a right to be here. That right there just informed him of his qualified immunity. He was informed, I'm a member of the press. This is so important. You make sure you inform that filthy pig you are a member of the press. No matter what you do for a living, I don't care if you're an engineer for 75 hours a week, when you're recording pigs, you are a member of the press. And so this line that I said to this piggy right here, super important, super important. It's so important. What'd you say? She said, you have 61 viewers going over your lawsuit. Blue Bacon has 350. Blue Bacon's a loser. And I'm not. I'm a winner. Guy's a chump. And by the way, there's one leader and there's 9 people who are not leaders. So there's going to be way more people who are trolls and losers and scabs like Michael Peratini. Peratini, you're getting sued, bro. Eventually this is all going to come out. This guy's he's so fucked. Like, I can't wait to get him. I can't wait. I cannot wait. I can't wait to get that piece of garbage. I really can't wait to get him. And I will get him in court. I will get him. He filed false police reports. He did all kinds of garbage. But let's go back to the mission here. So I'm more than 10 feet away and I'm a member of the press. Bork threatened to detain plaintiff for obstructing and said, she deserves privacy. This is none of your business. That's not true. You're in a public place. She may deserve privacy, but you don't get to decide that you're going to take privacy by arresting a member of the press. By arresting a member of the press. That's not how it works. Such trash, such garbage. Plaintiff continued to assert his rights and notify Bork that plaintiff was a member of the press, at which time Brandon Bork got upset and said that he was detaining the plaintiff. Bork told Jane to leave and started walking aggressively towards plaintiff as if to use force. The plaintiff took a step back to prevent physical confrontation. Plaintiff continued to protest Bork putting his hands on him unnecessarily, but Bork was patently interested in manhandling plaintiff in some way and said, listen, I'm going to put my hands on you. Bork did indeed batter the plaintiff. While plaintiff was firm in his verbal tone, he never screamed or yelled. He never threatened defendants and never said or did anything that would have led a reasonable, I don't even like this term, law enforcement officer, because they're peace officers, to fear for his safety. So read this whole paragraph, though, and make sure you have it. While plaintiff was firm in his verbal tone, that's me, he never screamed or yelled. He never threatened the cop and never said or did anything that would have led a reasonable copper to fear for the safety or suspect that plaintiff committed or was planning on committing any crimes. You see, I didn't say I'm here to fight you. I didn't say, back up off of her, leave her alone, or I'm going to fight you right now. I didn't say anything like that. I informed the pig that I'm a member of the press and I have a right to be there. So I've done everything I'm supposed to do. Clark County is going to have to pay. It's going to be a fat bill. They're going to have to pay. Plaintiff asked for a supervisor while continuing to protest against an illegal detainment, against the use of unnecessary force. Plaintiff offered to walk to Bork's vehicle and seemed to be where the officer wanted to illegally detain him. As soon as plaintiff reached the vehicle, he was forcefully grabbed and told he was being placed under arrest. For what? For what? For filming the filthy pig? Plaintiff was patted down and placed in handcuffs. Plaintiff made defendant aware of a prior shoulder injury, and plaintiff was put in 2 pairs of torture cuffs to adhere to his medical needs. Although later in the counter, a defendant police officer named Jesse Sandoval would yank and squeeze forcefully on plaintiff's arm over and over and over unnecessarily. Plaintiff was surrounded by 4 different police officers and now defendants, where he continued to protest that they had no valid reason to detain or arrest him. Bork accused plaintiff of being on drugs based on the color of his skin. Plaintiff said he did not have a criminal record, and Bork entered his vehicle to type up a report. Soon after, one of the defendant's officers demanded the plaintiff look only straight ahead. That was Jesse Sandoval. And when plaintiff did not immediately comply, the defendant began to squeeze the plaintiff's elbow, placing pressure on the ulnar nerve. Plaintiff complained about the pain and protested, again, needing to look into a specific direction to have an arrest. Plaintiff complained about the pain and protested against needing to look in a specific direction to have an arrest effectuated on him. See, this is such an important line. This is such an important line. You are not a slave. You are not a slave. You don't need to be tortured to be arrested. The pigs don't get to say, look forward. You don't get to look over here. Yes, you do. This is why I'm suing you, Las Vegas Metro Police Department. This is why I'm suing you. You'll see that at the bottom for $5 million. You don't get to torture me. You don't get to say, you can look this way. You can't use your voice box. You are not God. This line right here is one of the most important lines there is. It's one of the most important lines in this entire lawsuit. Plaintiff complained about the pain and protested against needing to look in a specific direction to have an arrest effectuated upon him. The defendant squeezing plaintiff's elbow said that it was within their policy to squeeze elbows for people in their custody that did not comply with random commands that would grant complete dominion over another human being, from which way plaintiff's head could turn, to his right to use speech, or when he could blink. That's the level of dominion that these filthy coppers want over all of us. They want to be able to tell you which way you can look. They want to tell you which way you can stand, if you can use your voice box. Plaintiff did experience severe pain and parentheses from compression of his ulnar nerve. When plaintiff pleaded, one second, guys. One second, real quick. Let's get my current live updated to the supplemental, which is filed at the federal Massachusetts courthouse, and then I will copyright strike any person who uses this current live. ... Let's get that done as quick as we can so that I can hammer people who then use my content without my explicit permission. So, forgive me. When plaintiff pleaded for help from surrounding defendant's officers, they completely ignored the plaintiff and told him, "You're good." And when plaintiff pleaded for help from surrounding defendant officers, They completely ignored the plaintiff. Plaintiff told them, "You're going to be sued for failing to intervene. I'm sitting here telling you, this man is torturing me. Please ask him to stop." Plaintiff was ignored by all sworn peace officers on the scene, who are now defendants. Plaintiff's elbow was squeezed for approximately 15 minutes in total. Plaintiff's pain tolerance forced him to tear his elbow away from the defendant officer, Jesse Sandoval. At some point, defendant Torrey, the supervisor, arrived on the scene and authorized the defendant's behavior as being within their policy. Torrey then stated the plaintiffs should be arrested to discourage the plaintiff's behavior. Read that again, that they should arrest me to discourage me from recording police. I mean, that's exactly what they said. Read the words. They arrested me to discourage me from continuing to do the action. Wow. That's just, I mean, in plain writing right there. They write it right there. They even told me, we're going to arrest you so that we're going to de-incentivize you. What were the exact words? Discourage. They're going to discourage me from recording cops. Wow. Wow. You know, and so, you guys stay focused on what we're talking about here, because eventually the wheels of justice come around, and there's people I'm taking to the grill in court. And there's people who are going to end up getting criminal charges against them for filing false police reports and then abusing the court's process. I can't wait. It's going to take a little time, but eventually people are frauds. People sit up on YouTube and lie about everything that they are. You're not, people lie about who they are completely for years and years. And that's what's happening. That's the reason why, it is what it is. Could you imagine, what if you guys found out right now? What if you found out right now that I was really a plumber? That I was a plumber. And there's nothing wrong with being a plumber. It's a great job. But what if you found out I was a plumber? People are such frauds in this. They're just so fake. All the defendants on the scene knew there was no reasonable suspicion or probable cause to suspect plaintiff of any crimes, but wrongfully believed they were justified in detaining plaintiff for assertion of his civil rights for refusing to cooperate with the defendant's feelings and ridiculous, unreasonable demands of a law-abiding citizen. Brandon Bork engaged in profiling against a member of the press when he stated that First Amendment auditors had been known for dropping their phones, pulling out guns, and shooting at police officers, which is preposterous and provably false. A defendant officer said the plaintiff needed to be patted down again. That's Jesse Sandoval. So this is the part that gets nasty. Plaintiff protested that he'd already been patted down by two officers. The officer then spread plaintiff's legs uncomfortably wide and purposely and maliciously and with significant force struck the plaintiff in the testicles, which felt like a closed fist. Plaintiff yelled in pain, "I can't believe you just hit me in the nuts." Plaintiff was forcibly placed into a police vehicle by defendants who pulled the seatbelt as tight as they could, knocking the air out of the plaintiff. Plaintiff again pleaded for help from the surrounding officers, but was ignored. So let me just explain that a little bit. When they put me in the back of Brandon Bork's torture mobile, then the same cop who'd been abusing me, who's now up on my left shoulder, which I told was injured, but he squeezed my arm long enough so I tear my arm away. Then when I tore my arm away, he then put my shoulder up. If you pin someone's wrist to their back and lift up their elbow, you'll tear their rotator cuff, as mine is slightly torn. So then he gets me in the car, and then he puts the seatbelt on me and takes his full body weight and pulls it across my stomach. So there's my hands are behind my back and a full strap across my stomach. So I go, "I can't breathe. Why are you doing this?" I mean, literally, I could not breathe. But that's what Jesse Sandoval had done to me. Jesse Sandoval, from the beginning of his interaction with me until the end, Sandoval, you and I are connected for life. You're not getting away with it, bro. You're not getting away with it. You might think you're getting away with it. I don't care what happens, Sandoval. You're not getting away with it. I swear to God, Sandoval, you're not getting away with it. You don't know me. You don't know Sandoval. You don't know anything about me, bud. You know nothing about me, dude. You might want to take a look at who I am. You're going to find out. I'm gonna get that son of a bitch. I'm gonna get him. I can't wait. I cannot wait to get that piece of shit. Sorensen attempted to get plaintiff arrested for NRS 202 for having his dog in a vehicle, even though plaintiff's animal was not in an unsafe condition. Plaintiff was searched and transported to Clark County Jail, where he would not be formally charged, but released with citations approximately 5 hours after the incident. The officer's actions left plaintiff in the position where he had to pay for a ride back to his vehicle and did monies for such a ride. On the arm the defendant screamed, plaintiff was left with a severe bruise in his elbow area, continues to have, I can't say the word, in his index and thumb, and required ongoing medical care. Almost a month after the incident, B. Sorensen continues to harass plaintiff by warning him against NRS 202487, although plaintiff never left his pet in an unsafe condition. As a result of the defendant's action, plaintiff suffered deprivation of rights and liberties, sustained physical injuries, and suffered physical pain, mental suffering, emotional distress, fear, embarrassment, and other general damages in the amount to be proven at trial. At no time in the encounter with defendants did plaintiff do or say anything that would put a reasonable officer in fear for his or her safety. Following the incident, Bork claimed in a written incident report that the reason why plaintiff was arrested was for engaging with a detained driver, refusing to give an officer reasonable space to work. That is such a bag of dicks. And refused to obey lawful commands after being advised that he was detained. A detained person's rights are only limited as to leaving, and I was not leaving. A police officer's, specifically defendant Bork's feelings must be weighed against a citizen's rights. The defendant's behavior did not follow Las Vegas Metro Police Department use of force policy interactions with the public. The report written by Bork also claimed because DeCastro was physically Bork, you candy ass. Let me just make it clear for you, Bork, you candy ass. You beta male cuck. If I decided to physically resist you, Bork, you would have known it. You would have known it. You would have known it. You would have ended up on the ground in 2 seconds. You were out of position. If I decided to drop my cameras and body slam you, Bork, you would have got body slammed. You were out of position, dunce cap. You don't put your hands high on a short guy, you idiot. I'm short. You notice that? So you put your hands up here on a wrestler. I could have slammed you on your head, Bork, and I would have. But the thing is here's the truth, and here's the reason I didn't slam him on his head. Number one, I have other goals I'm doing that you guys are unaware of right now, and number two, I don't really enjoy hurting people. It's not fun for me. It's fun doing a slick move in grappling or MMA and when you're training, and it looks really great, and everybody's like, "Oh, that was slick, right?" But the truth is, Bork was so out of position. I could have slammed his back of his head right here on the concrete. He was so out of, he put his arm high and my arm was on this side of his arm. So if you've ever grappled before, you just slip under and you just drop him on his head. But I didn't do that because I don't want to hurt people. But I had every right to do so. I could have slammed him. Bork, I could have killed you, bro. I could have slammed you on the concrete with the back of your head and you could have died and I'd go home. I'd have to go through a few months of being in a dungeon, but eventually I'd be cleared. You can't just attack a member of the press, bro. You can't just attack a free person. I could have killed you, Bork. And I could kill you. You're lucky I didn't. I'm not into killing people. I could have attacked you, dude. I could have. I'm not into attacking people. I discourage people from entering to physical fights, even though I got an ego. But it's the wrong way. It's the wrong way. But Bork, you were out of position, bro. You could have got your head knocked back. You could have got so slammed, Bork. Don't grab a guy who's actually tough. You're a tough guy because you got a badge and a gun on, and no one fights back. Don't grab a guy who's actually fought hundreds of men. It's a big mistake, bro. But see, it just goes back to good people don't do what we could do to these nasty pigs. I could have slammed him on his head. I didn't because it's not right. It's not right. I'm supposed to adhere to the rule of law. I'm in a social contract that if we all do that, if we all fight the cops, then we end up with an anarchy. And some people say anarchy is not bad. We end up in a chaotic system with no rules. And so I can't be going around slamming people. You can't either. You can't attack people. Bork attacked me, and now Bork's little company is going to have to pay me. It's so frustrating. The fact in the incident report were either fabricated or merely pretextual. So Bork lied, pretty much. The facts set forth in defendant Bork's report were true. If the facts, even if the facts set forth in defendant Bork's report were true, which video evidence disputes, those facts still did not give rise to reasonable suspicion to detain plaintiff, Terry versus Ohio, and certainly did not furnish probable cause to arrest plaintiff, stated early in the encounter that he had no criminal record and there's no criminal behavior. At that point, a reasonable officer would have left the plaintiff alone. Bork never told plaintiff there was an investigation or he was interfering with it. Rather, Bork only demanded that plaintiff respect Jane's privacy in public. Defendant Bork seemed only intent on preventing plaintiff from recording the police interaction. Perhaps this is because plaintiff had recently covered several stories about Las Vegas Metro Police Department that went viral on the internet. Plaintiff is informed and believes and intends to prove, after conducting relevant discovery, the defendant's actions in detaining or arresting plaintiff, using force on him, and illegal searching him and his belongings was motivated largely by the following: plaintiff's position as a member of the press that records police interactions for accountability. There's the first one right there. They don't want you recording cops. And when they arrested me, they said, we're going to arrest you to discourage the behavior. I'm not discouraged. Plaintiff's negative viewpoint of police who all contribute to or hold silent the thin blue line about police brutality. So it's true. Plaintiff, I'm the plaintiff, negative viewpoint of police. I think they're all scum pigs who contribute to or hold silent the thin blue line about police brutality. I've been on the record about this, haven't I? Haven't I been on the record about this? Haven't I been on the record about it? I mean, I've completely been on the record about it, haven't I? I've said that I don't like cops. Cops are scum. So when my nephew came down to pick me up, they told him that I had called them names, and so they were arresting me. So it's just more crap. 3, plaintiff's verbal abuse, protestations of the defendant's actions, and plaintiff's accusation that the defendants were harassing him. Indeed, as shown on the video footage captured by plaintiff's cell and video, plaintiff expects to obtain from the defendant's body cam, plaintiff did not do or say anything that would provide a reasonable suspicion or probable cause for detention or arrest, excessive use of force, and subsequent searches. Therefore, there is strong inference that defendant were in fact motivated by one or more of the 3 factors enumerated above. So they don't want me recording them. They don't like that I've recorded a few of their pigs and it's gone viral. And so there it is. Okay, so remember yesterday I was talking about U.S. Code 42, Section 1983. So this is a civil, because a lot of people will say U.S. Code 18, but that's not correct. It's U.S. Code 42 is what you're suing under. You don't sue under U.S. Code 18. You sue under U.S. Code 42. And my brain, as you guys know, I'm dyslexic. I have problems with getting numbers. It's a real problem for me. I'm sorry. So, one time I said the Louisiana Purchase was in 1831. I think it was 1801. Even still now, just recalling things that are numbers numerated. Sometimes I switch numbers in my head, and obviously 1830 and 1801, that's a really big difference for the Louisiana Purchase. So was it 1803 and then 1831? I can't remember how I switched it around in my brain. But now as soon as I start to jumble numbers, my brain just does it, and it's an imperfection. So I wish I was perfect, but I'm working on that. So plaintiff refers to paragraph 1 through 47. By actions and omissions described above, the defendants acting under the color of law of state of their individual capacities or integral participants violated plaintiffs' rights under the Fourth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. These deprivations include, but are not limited to, the right to be free from detention without reasonable suspicion, the right to be free from arrest without probable cause, the right to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures of property, the right to be free from excessive force and unreasonable force and restraint in the course of an arrest, which did not happen. They treated me like a dog. It was horrible. Defendants subjected plaintiffs to their wrongful conduct, depriving plaintiff of rights and describing herein known maliciously and with the conscious and reckless disregard for whether the rights of the plaintiffs would be violated by their acts and or omissions. Defendants' acts and or omissions were the moving force behind and proximately caused injury and damages to plaintiff as set forth above. Defendant's conduct entitles plaintiff to punitive damages and penalties allowable under U.S. Code 42, 1983 and Nevada law in the amount sufficient to punish and deter such conduct. No punitive damages are sought against the state of Nevada. Do you see that here? An amount sufficient to punish or deter their conduct. So I'm suing you to deter, whatever. I don't care. But you guys know what the point is. I'm suing the cops. They arrested me to deter my filming of them. It's so backwards. I'm suing you to deter you from arresting journalists who film you nasty pigs. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Yeah. Well, they're scum. The cops are scum. Cops are scum. Bork attacked me. You know, it says Joshua Martinez ended up going to jail for posting on Facebook about taking out the trash and showing a casket with a cop in it in reference to cops. He never directly threatened the life of a cop. I'm not threatening him either. Bork, you were out of position, bro. You could have got hurt, dude. You could have got hurt. Don't attack a wrestler, dude. Bork, you're a pussy. Don't attack a real tough guy. Because I'm old, but I'm real tough. So I got 1 or 2 fights in me. You're lucky I didn't want to take it out on you, Bork. I don't want to attack cops. I don't want to attack the state. That's not how we're going to win, ultimately. Ultimately, we're going to win when enough people are abused by you nasty pigs that when we really go to change things, there's enough people that go, you know what? I'm tired of these pigs. But attacking cops is not on my list of things to do. And it wasn't on Josh Martinez's either. He got railroaded and cheated. I know Josh Martinez. It's horrible. It's horrible. So let's get back to reading this. This is almost done here. So then right here, this is the second cause of action right here, U.S. Code 42, 1983 under the 14th Amendment. And again, these are against all the same pigs. Let me make sure we got everything correct here. Oh, sorry about that. Sorry about that. There we go. Whoops. There you go. Now you guys can read it with me. So second cause of action, U.S. Code Section 1983, 14th Amendment against Bork. Plaintiff refers to paragraph 1 through 51 of this complaint, incorporates by reference the allegations of said paragraphs, and though expressly set forth at length at this point. By the actions and omissions described above, defendants acting under the color of state law in their individual capacities as an integral participant violated plaintiff's rights under the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Defendants intentionally discriminated against plaintiff based on the color of his skin, his position as a member of the press, and his due to his viewpoints. Defendants would not have harassed, detained, or arrested or used force on and searched the plaintiff if he had been more like them. Defendants would not have harassed, detained, arrested, used force on, or searched plaintiff if he had been more like the cops. In particular, according to defendants' own incident reports, one of the facts upon which they relied in detaining and or arresting plaintiff is that there were previous incidents involving members of the press dropping their cameras and pulling out guns. This is what Bork told me in the car. Choosing to detain the plaintiff as a member of the press based on allegations and actions or involvement of other members of the press and due to the color of his skin is illegally profiling and prohibited by the 14th Amendment under Equal Protection Clause under NRS 289-510. If the defendants had been told, that a man of their skin color trying to get police officers' autographs instead of photographing interactions for accountability had pulled guns on police, it is virtually certain that defendants would never have detained, arrested, or searched such person in the same parking lot. So what we're saying here is that if I was there with a camera getting autographs for the pigs, then they would have loved it. But because I was there filming them to hold them accountable, then they want to arrest me, and they did. Defendant subjected plaintiffs to their wrongful conduct, deprived plaintiff of rights described herein, knowingly, maliciously, and with conscious and reckless disregard for whether the rights of the plaintiffs would be violated by their acts, actions, or omissions. Defendant or omissions were moving behind the defendant's acts and or omissions were the moving force behind and proximately caused injuries and damages to plaintiff as set forth above. Defendant conduct entitles plaintiff to punitive damages and penalties allowed under U.S. Code 42, 1983 and Nevada law in the amount sufficient to punish and deter such conduct. No punitive damages are sought against defendant. Nevada. Third cause of action. So are you guys seeing something here? You know, if the cops abuse you and they cheat you, there are multiple causes of action for which you can sue them under. It's not just one thing. You can sue them for everything they did. And this is the first lawsuit against Las Vegas Metro Police Department. I think there's going to be additional ones. They got a bunch of jackboot thugs on Las Vegas Metro Police Department who try to have dominion over me of where I can stand. And I'm not going to tolerate it. I'm not going to tolerate it. I will not. So, and just remember, I'm not suicidal in any way, shape, or form. So if all of a sudden I end up dead somehow, I was murdered. So I just want to be clear, because it can happen, and it happens all the time. Cops are murderous thugs, and they would gladly kill you to get rid of their problem. Without even thinking about it, they would do it. So we go 1 through 55. By the actions and omissions described above, defendants and acting in the color of law. Defendants acting under the color of law of the state of their individual capacities and in integral participants violated plaintiff's rights under the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. In particular, defendants retaliated against plaintiff for his speech, including his verbal protests and criticisms of defendant's actions in investigating, detaining, and arresting plaintiff without any basis, and his exercise of his rights to refuse to cooperate with what started as a consensual encounter. Plaintiff believes defendants retaliated against him for refusing to cooperate in a consensual encounter, which is also protected activity under the First Amendment. Defendants subjected plaintiffs to their wrongful conduct, depriving plaintiffs of rights describing herein, knowingly, maliciously, and with the conscious and reckless disregard for whether or not the rights of the plaintiffs would be violated by their acts and or omissions. Defendant acts and or omissions were the moving force behind and proximately caused injuries and damages to the plaintiffs set forth above. So no punitive damages against the state of Nevada. Fourth cause of action. So this is going to be the Monell Act. Are you guys familiar with the Monell Act? I was going to cover that. I actually started doing a bunch of stuff on it, and I haven't finished it yet. But plaintiff refers to paragraph 1 through 59, the unconstitutional acts. Okay, right here. Encouraged and allowed or ratified by policy-making officials within Nevada. So this right here, this is where I'm going after. I'm going after the policy. I want the policy to be changed. The unconstitutional actions and or omissions by the cops were pursuant to the following customs, policies, and practices and or procedures of the Las Vegas Metro Police Department of Nevada, which were directed, encouraged, allowed, and or ratified by policy-making officials within the Nevada Las Vegas Metro Police Department. I want the policy changed that they can grab you while you're in torture cuffs and hurt you. That's what I'm going after here. To carry out or tolerate unlawful detention without suspicion. To carry out or tolerate unlawful arrest without probable cause. To carry out or tolerate detentions and arrests based on civilians' refusal to cooperate with consensual encounters. To carry out or tolerate detentions based upon citizens' exercise of their First Amendment right to criticize and verbally protest deputies' actions. To use or tolerate excessive force, to carry out or tolerate unlawful searches or persons and properties, to carry out or tolerate discriminatory and biased practices or racial profiling, to fail to institute or require to enforce proper and adequate training, supervision, policies, and procedures concerning each of the foregoing practices. To fail to institute and require to enforce proper and adequate training, supervision, policies, and procedures within the LFMPD and fear experienced by people of different skins and other minorities, including cop-watching activists, when interacting with law enforcement in light of well-documented, highly publicized, and disproportionate amount of violence committed by cops against said groups, and the tactics that the Las Vegas cops should employ in dealing with auditors and activists in light of such fears, especially where they have been explicitly known to the officers. Most of the cops now know I'm in town. So do me a favor, put a 1 in the chat if you believe that most, because I've had a couple videos go over 100,000 in Las Vegas. Put a 1 in the chat if you believe Las Vegas Metro Police Department knows that I'm here and that they've even spoke about me in meetings and said, this guy's in town, the constitutional law scholar guy, he's got a channel called Delete Laws. Put a 1 in the chat if you believe that the coppers at Las Vegas Metro Police Department have privately or even publicly said that I'm in town. And I do sue cops all over the country. So they were probably had a talk about, hey, this guy sues people. Do you want to get sued? I mean, put a 1 in the chat if you think, I think that they know I'm in town. I think that they have discussions because I'm not like other people who film cops. I'm a little different. And so I think they've had long-winded conversations that this guy's in town. To ignore or to fail to properly investigate, supervise, this is for Tory right here. When Tory came in, I told him, you're making a mistake here. Properly supervise, discipline, or terminate officers who've engaged in unlawful or unconstitutional law enforcement activities, which, by the way, someone contacted me about Sorensen. Did you know that? Sorensen apparently beat up somebody else. And I'm talking to that person now. I'm going to get the full story about Sorensen. Sorensen, you're a scumbag, bro. Defendants, Las Vegas, and Doe's 26 through 50 failed to properly screen, hire, train, instruct, monitor. So you see what it says here? So I'm not just going after the coppers here. I'm going after the people who train those coppers. I have them listed right now as John Doe's. But the coppers who trained the filthy pigs who did that to me, I want to get them in this lawsuit. The training is bad. People keep saying more training, more training. No more cops. Get rid of cops, bring in rights protectors and peace officers. They have the post peace officer standards and training. And then as soon as they graduate from peace officer standards and training, then they become a law enforcer. How'd that happen? They weren't going to law enforcement school. They were going to peace officers standards and training. How did it become a law enforcer as soon as you graduate from the peace officers corps? How'd that happen? I'm just so curious. I don't know how that happened. So I want to get the guys who train those filthy pigs. Bork, Tory, Dingle, Sorensen, Sandoval, Doolittle, and Doe's 1 through 25 with deliberate indifference to plaintiffs' constitutional rights, specifically defendants that tortured me in a country that is based on respecting constitutional rights. Those officers are tyrants and a menace, and their actions are unbecoming of being called an officer. The men who watched them do what they did have to pay for this lawsuit out of their own pockets. Plaintiff offered to Bork to not sue you, to take these cuffs off me, and let's talk about what we both expect from one another, cops and cop watchers. Meaning defendant Bork had the opportunity to avoid this promised litigation. What would have been settled in a meeting will now cost the taxpayers. The constitutional actions of defendants Bork, Tory, Dingle, Sorensen, Sandoval, Doolittle, and the Doe's, John Doe's 1 through 25, approved, tolerated, and or ratified by policymaking officers for defendants of the Nevada and Las Vegas Metro Police Department. The aforementioned customs policies, practices, and procedures, and the failure to properly screen, hire, train, instruct, supervise, evaluate, investigate, discipline, and terminate, and the unconstitutional approval, ratification, and or toleration of the wrongful conduct of defendants Bork, Tory, Dingle, Sorensen, Sandoval, Doolittle, and John Doe's 1 through 25 were a moving force and or proximate cause of the deprivation of the plaintiff's clearly established constitutional rights. So the reason why all this is in here is because I'm going after, oh man, that was on that. Sorry about that. The reason why this is all in here is because I think Tory should be demoted or fired. Sergeant Tory, Sergeant, clown, dude. Absolute clown. You're not a sergeant. You're not Sergeant Tory. You're just the aforementioned customs policy practices. So I want to get Tory. As the supervisor on scene, defendant Tory had an obligation to ensure that his subordinates, including Borg, Tory, Dingle, Sorensen, and Doe's, refrained from violating plaintiff's constitutional rights and prevented other peace officers from violating plaintiff's rights. Because defendant Tory learned and was apprised of the relevant facts surrounding the arrest and detention of plaintiff, the use of force on plaintiff, and the search of the person and property, and because he knew that such actions were illegal and unconstitutional, Tory was obligated to immediately terminate the unconstitutional actions. And by failing to do so, Tory is liable in his role as a supervisor. Tory said specifically, no, you have to be arrested because you've done this before and we want to deter the behavior. He openly stated that he didn't want plaintiff to film police and would put charges on him because he's a nationally known cop watcher. Las Vegas Metro Police Department is well aware of who the plaintiff is and what he does. As a direct and proximate result of defendant's conduct, plaintiffs suffered injuries and damages as set forth. Fifth cause of action against the same cops and the John Does. In doing things herein, allegedly, defendant intentionally discriminated against plaintiff because of his race and political views, thereby depriving him of his right to the full and equal benefit of the law and proceedings for the securities of purposes and property that is enjoyed by all other citizens. Defendant subjected plaintiff to their wrongful conduct, depriving plaintiff of rights, describing herein knowingly, maliciously, and with conscious and reckless disregard for whether the rights of the plaintiffs would be violated by their acts and or omissions. Defendant acts and or omissions were the moving force behind and proximately caused injury and damages as set forth above. Defendant's conduct entitles plaintiff to punitive damages and allowable under U.S. Code 42-1983 and Nevada law in the amount sufficient to punish or deter such conduct. No punitive damages are sought against the state. Sixth cause of action. The conduct of the individual defendants was malicious and oppressive in a way that intended to harm plaintiff and deprive him of his rights, or their actions were despicable and carried out in a willful and conscious disregard for plaintiff's rights and safety, entitling plaintiff to punitive damages pursuant to NRS 42. No punitive damages are being sought against Nevada. Seventh cause of action. Let's read those first three paragraphs are the same. Defendant and Nevada are vicariously liable for the acts and omissions of its employees acting in the course and scope of said employment pursuant to 42005. The conduct of the individual defendants was malicious and oppressive in a way that if they intended to harm the plaintiff to deprive him of his rights, and their actions were despicable and carried out with a willful and conscious disregard for plaintiff's rights. Eighth cause of action. Plaintiff refers to paragraph 1 through 81 and incorporates the reference of alleged paragraphs. In doing so, the things herein alleged defendants intentionally arrested or detained plaintiff without a warrant or other justification, and in doing restrained plaintiff, handcuffed him and placed him in patrol cars against his will, thereby depriving him of his freedom of movement. As a direct result, proximity, he suffered injuries. Defendants are vicariously responsible for 42. Ninth cause of action, invasion of privacy. During the incident giving rise to the action, plaintiff has a reasonable expectation of privacy in his personal affairs, including the content of his personal belongings, such as vehicles, pockets, wallets, cell phones, and other devices. In doing things herein, defendants intentionally invaded and intruded plaintiff's personal and private affairs by searching him and his belongings without a warrant or legal justification. Defendant invasion of plaintiff's privacy would have been offensive to any reasonable person. As a direct result, the plaintiff was harmed. 10th cause of action. All defendants. Plaintiff refers to paragraph 1 through 93. The individual defendants owed plaintiff a duty to use reasonable care in connection with the parties' interactions and described herein. In particular, defendant had a duty to carefully investigate any criminal activity, to use care to avoid subjecting plaintiff to an illegal detention, arrest, retaliation for exercise of free speech, free press, or petition for redress of grievances, use of force, or deprivation of any other rights enumerated herein, and to reasonably care for and avoid engaging in bias, policing, or racial and political affiliation profiling, which is exactly what they did. In doing things herein, defendant alleges duty of care, acting unreasonably, negligently, or recklessly. 42. So here's the prayer for relief in the end. So there's 9 causes of action. The 10th cause of action is here. This is the 10th. So there's 10 causes of action against Las Vegas Metro Police Department. So we're doing 10 different causes of action. Chevy. Oh no, Chille. Girls are going to go crazy on detour. Prevent synonym detour, detire, detire, deter, detere. Chevy is my troll basher. I mean, this guy's the bomb. You have no idea. You have no idea. Chevy knows. Chevy knows what's going on. So there's 10 causes of action in this. And now let's go down here for the prayer for relief for the 10. Plaintiff prays that for damages of the following: for compensatory damages in the amounting according to proof, for punitive damages in the amount of $5 million, or in an amount sufficient to punish defendant's conduct and deter similar conduct in the future, pursuant to U.S. Code 42, 1983. No punitive damages are sought against the state of Nevada. For all applicable statutory penalties, for all attorneys and fees pursuant to U.S. Code 42, for costs of suit, for costs of other further relief as the courts deem just and proper. Demand for jury trial. Plaintiff demands for a jury trial, certificate of interested parties. Sorry about that. The undersigned pro se party clarifies that the following may have a direct and, great word, pecuniary interest of the outcome of this case, and employees, contractors of the state of Nevada, due to the state of Nevada, any pro-police organizations due to the political affiliation of the plaintiff. The undersigned pro se party certifies that the following may have a direct pecuniary interest in the outcome of this case. So the following may have a direct pecuniary interest in the outcome of this case. So any employee or contractor of the state of Nevada, due to the state of Nevada being a defendant. So that would include judges and prosecutors, and then any pro-police organization due to the political affiliation of the plaintiff, who clearly says that cops are scum. So that's where that is. And so there it is. There it is in entirety. There's the entire lawsuit. There's the entire lawsuit. So now you guys have seen it. You have seen it. And, just so you guys know, when I decided to take the lead and walk out in front and say, look, I understand some things about constitutional law. I understand the basis of this country extraordinarily well. I'm always going to have people who are haters. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to keep suing the shit out of them. I'm going to sue them. And, I'm going to get them. Eventually I will get them, because the wheels of justice take a long time to turn around, but eventually they come crushing down. As we've seen in Massachusetts. We've seen that in Massachusetts. As soon as you start to really get into one of these losers, they come unraveled. And as soon as I turn and face one of these losers, look at one of the losers trolling here. A total fraud. Guy was lied about who he was, lied about everything. Went on Dr. Phil and lied about his name. Who goes on Dr. Phil and lies about their real name? That's pretty morbid. And then the guy filed. I'm going to get him. I can't wait. I can't wait to actually get the fucking loser in court. I can't wait. Oof. I can't wait. And just so you know, if we were in a dog-eat-dog world, I'd turn this camera off and I'd just go handle my own business. But we're not in that world anymore. We're now in a digital era, a misinformation era. So, you know what I'm saying? Cope Doggy Dog! Cope Dog's in the house. What's going on, Cope Dog? What's going on in Cope Dog is here. Chevy's here. You have rights. Cops have duties. Paul, what's going on? Gary, Gloria. KT is here. Mr. Waldo Baldo, what's up? What's up, Playboy? Seth is in here. Jeff hates pigs. David Lee, what's going on? Boiled corruption. Absolutely boiled corruption. Absolutely boiled corruption. Greg, what's going on? What is going on? Sativa and me. Thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, thank you for the super chat. I didn't see the super chat come in, but thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Cool. Right on. SWE Observer. What is going on? Shakur Capital's here. I'm just kind of scrolling down here. Las Vegas Freedom News. What's up, Las Vegas Freedom? Let's get together, bro. I'm here in Vegas. So cool. KNRW Radio. What's going on with the citation, Chille? Unless you already said, I don't know. It's coming up next few days. I'll clue you guys in. I will clue you guys in. Mikey B. Where's Gregor? There's Greg. What's going on, Rick? How are you? Green Mark. What's going on, Green Mark? Yeah, Green Mark has a good point. The cops, the cops are protected by the judges. It's really, really bad. We have a corrupt judge system here. I mean, look at, someone mentioned Anthony Martinez earlier. You know, when the cops kill us, they look up anything they can look up to say that we're bad. Martinez only celebrated cops dying, which, you know, I've done it myself. I don't, you know, I've been in the position where I hate cops so much that when they die, I'm like, good, one less dead pig, right? But it's not true. It's not really how you feel. You know, when you really start to examine your good person perspectives, there's a lot of ex-cops who I talk to that I'm friends with now that left the evil, dark empire and realized that's evil and horrible and dark, and they changed. They became better people. So if we kill people, then they don't have a chance to become a better person. If we physically attack and fight people, then we create this divide that won't work. We have to do it through petition and legislation. And, you know, eventually we're seeing it now in peace officers. Thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot for the super chat. But it's like, we have to, because, you know, eventually it's going to come. The violence will naturally happen. We don't have to cheer on or hope for violence. It's going to happen eventually. They're going to arrest the wrong person, put him in a dungeon, and the crowd is going to come to get the person out of jail. It's only a matter of when. Look at Trump. They want to arrest Trump for doing what all the other politicians do. I'm not a gigantic Trump supporter. You guys have heard me say it. I'm not a big Trump supporter. I'm just not. I don't support Republicans and Democrats. So that would be Biden, that would be Trump, that would be Clinton, that would be all of them. Republicans and Democrats are both scum. They're scum. They're working against us. But when you advocate for killing people, you don't have a chance to become a better person. We have to do it through nonviolence. We have to do it through petition. We have to do it through legislation. We have to do it by changing state constitutions that hold peace officers accountable when they're sued under a federal civil rights lawsuit in 1942 or U.S. Code 28 or U.S. Code 18, and then they lose. They should never be able to be a peace officer again. That should be in every single state constitution, from Alaska to Maine. In every single state constitution should be the words, if a peace officer is sued federally and loses, he can never be a peace officer in this state again. And then that state should have agreements with other states that you can't be a cop in that state either. We have to start to get there together. We have to start to get the changes in order. You know, did I want to slam Bork on his head? I sure did. He grabbed me. He had his arm up high on my shoulder. I've spent 30 years ducking under shoulders and slamming people, and I didn't do that because it's wrong. It's wrong. It's the wrong thing to do. Or I would have done it. Or I would have done it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sue them all. I'm going to sue them all. Josh Martinez is a friend of mine who was railroaded by the Las Vegas Metro Police Department. That's exactly what we have seen, and we've seen it time and time again. So it's always, it'll never stop. No matter what I do, because I'm going to change the system and I'm going to go into government leadership, it'll never stop. There'll always be people just talking trash and being horrible. It doesn't matter. I'll just sue the ones I don't like, and then everything else I'll just keep moving forward on what we're doing here. Just stay super focused. Don't let people distract you from the real mission of changing policing entirely. Don't let people distract you from the real mission of holding them accountable. Don't let anybody distract you from what we really have to get done. We have to get into government executive power, and not as a Republican and not as a Democrat. There's only 51 executives in America, 51 total, 50 governors and 1 president. Those 51 people who sign law into place, that make executive decisions, that can do an executive order and take executive action. Well, the first few things I'll take executively is I will end the war on drugs in whichever state I'm in. The war on drugs will come to an end. We will get the DEA out of that state. We will get the FBI out of that state. We start kicking these federal cops out of these states because they're the ones who are running the drugs. They're the ones who are running the prostitution. Here in Nevada, they talk about how human trafficking is so bad. Human trafficking is done by the cops here. The people bringing in the underage kids who are kidnapped all over the world and brought to Nevada to be paid for human slaves, cops are doing that. Cops are involved in that. There's police involved in it. The illegal gambling rings here in Nevada is full of cops. The prostitution rings, the drug rings, the drug dealing rings here in Nevada have cops in the drug dealing rings. There are active police officers now who are involved with the drug dealing cartels here in Nevada. It's a fact. It's a fact. It's been in 4 different police commissions over 100 years. Talking 12, 13 years of federal investigators investigating police in 4 different commissions, and they all say the same thing. The cops are involved in all of the criminal activity. So I'm just keeping it real. I'm just keeping it real. I haven't decided where I'm going to run yet. I've actually narrowed down a few states, and I have to decide where I'm going to run. But then it won't stop. It won't stop. But I do appreciate the support. Thanks a lot. It means a lot. I'll have that new trifold out today. I should have a sample of it today. I got to run over and pick up that sample at the mailbox, and then I will have it. I will. Yeah, Jesse Sandoval has to be. Jesse Sandoval, my goal is you, bro. My goal is you, Sandoval. You're a real tough guy, Sandoval, when I'm in torture cuffs. You're a real tough guy. But funny, you didn't have ears like mine, Sandoval. You must not spend any time really training. Real tough guy when I'm in torture cuffs. Real tough guy. You're really tough. You're really tough. When I'm in torture cuffs and you're squeezing me and trying to hurt my shoulder, you're really tough. When you're hitting me with your fist in the nuts, when my legs are spread and I'm chained up, Sandoval, I'm coming after you, bro. Your job, bro. Your job. I'm going after your job, Sandoval. Bork, you should lose your job too. It just drives me crazy. It just drives me crazy. It just really, really does. It drives me bonkers that someone was allowed to torture me. It makes me so angry. And the fact that other pigs sat around and watched it happen to me was like, what the fuck? Sorry for the language. Yep. I know it. All right, listen, I've got a lot of other stuff to do today. I got to get back to work. You guys have no idea. Like, I'm only putting, just so you guys know, I'm only putting like 20% of my effort right now into delete laws. There's other projects I'm doing. I have to put all of my effort into delete laws or into something else right now. So I'm only putting a little bit of effort into this right now because I really want to, I can't say anything else. I got to go. I still got some sort of broken blood vessels or something in there from him squeezing my arm. You can see it. You can see it. There was just no reason to sit and, I mean, this is a month old. There's just no reason to sit and squeeze me like that. No reason to sit and squeeze me like that. Come on. Come on. Come on. Little guy. What's up, little Charlie? Lay down. Lay down. Lay down. All right. I'm going to get the flock out of here. Thanks for coming. I appreciate it. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Later, Gators.